Shall we begin?
Okay.
Good evening, friends. Shall I start?
Yeah, just mute everybody else and then you can start.
Good evening, friends. This is the last of the Meraki Talk series, and the topic for discussion today is importance of communication. Human communication is one of the most important aspects of life. Communication is important for developing human relationships. In our personal lives, effective communications can smooth their way in relationship with others by helping you to understand others and to be understood. The importance of communication in our day-to-day life cannot be underestimated. Communications serve 5 major goals: informing, expressing feelings, imagining, influencing, and meeting social expectations. Each of these goals is reflected in the form of communication. Let us now listen to our speakers Archana Saini and Manisha Mahajan, who will enlighten us on the importance of communication. Now over to past President Jayashree Thapar to introduce our speakers for this evening. Over to you, Jayashree. Please unmute yourself, Jayashree.
Yeah, there was a little connectivity problem. Good evening, friends. I do hope a lot more will join in by and by. First Saturday of the month, and it's Meraki time, as I call it. And we are at the series Alchemy of Relationships, the last and final talks that the Meraki girls are going to give us on the importance of communication. I think Jyoti has already kind of given an introduction. And I think most of us know the Meraki girls. So without much ado, I think we'll go ahead and start the program. Over to you, Archana and Manisha.
Hi, everyone. A very good afternoon. And as you have all mentioned, that our topic for the day is communication in relationships. So
please, sorry, Manisha, can please enable me to share my screen? The host needs to enable me. Thank you. Yes, Manisha,
okay.
Carry on.
Yeah, thank you. So our topic for this meet is importance of communication in relationships. And before we start with our presentation, there is something which I would like to share. This is a quote by Sylvester McNutt. So just put your attention to each and every word. I would request you all. If I did something wrong, communicate. If I hurt your feelings, make me aware of it. If I didn't listen well enough, tell me again in a way I understand. If I am insensitive to your needs, to your desires, or to your thoughts, tell me so I can consider them. However, don't ever hold an attitude with me because you haven't clearly expressed yourself. I am a human, not a mind reader. I think in all our relationships, in all our communication with each other, this is the main fallacy. We always think that the other person is going to understand, but that doesn't happen. Perspectives differ. We differ as people, and there is no way in which we can understand what the other wants to say to us. So to start with our topic, we have listed 4 core skills of effective communication. The first, of course, is listening. Now, what exactly do we mean by listening? Are we good listeners? Do we really listen to listen, or do we listen just to retort or give our comment? So, do we really focus on the person to listen? Do we listen calmly and quietly, or do we interrupt? I think all of us do interrupt because we want to say what we have to say. Do we let others finish their own sentences? I think we can take a pause here and think of all the 3 pointers here in listening. Focus, don't interrupt, let others finish their sentences. We all have to become good listeners if we want to communicate well. And once the person has finished, then only we should say what we have to say. With this kind of a dialogue in which both of us respect each other, I think we can go a long way in communicating well. The second point is confidence. Always smile, always gesture that you're understanding, always make the other person feel loved, always make eye contact, and always speak assertively. Do not take something which you are not comfortable with. Let's say there is a conversation which is happening and it is not effective according to you. So you can just leave that conversation. You can just say, excuse me, maybe going for a drink of water or something, but you can leave that confident. Be confident in that. Be confident to leave the conversation. But you need your self respect, first of all. And you need to take on that conversation in the most positive manner. Third point is emotional intelligence. You have to be empathetic. You have to build a rapport. You have to display genuine curiosity. So all these pointers, I think, are very, very self-describable. We have to be empathetic. We can't just be listening. And one more point which I would like to mention here is the body language. When we are communicating, we may be smiling, but our body language gives us away. So we may be smirking through our body, but we may be smiling on our face. So the emotional equation which we have with that other person, it could be our employee, it could be a friend, it could be a relative, it could be a child. These small signs are picked up, and that is what leads to a bad communication. It's not what we are saying, it is how we are saying it. What all are we putting into it? And the last part is negotiation. So let's say we are trying to come to a point, maybe we are trying to hold hands in a communication. Maybe we are saying that, okay, I will agree to 2 points of yours, you agree to 1 point, or vice versa. So we have to be open-minded. We have to understand what the person is trying to say rather than being rigid in our own system, in our own thought. We have to be flexible and we have to be patient. Again, coming to the first point, we have to become a good listener.
Emotional intelligence,
Sorry.
negotiation.
Okay.
Speak
The next point is be
emotional.
tactful and diplomatic. What do you mean by tactful? It doesn't mean that we are doing something wrong, that tactfully we are evading the conversation or something. No. Being tactful means that we have the confidence and the ability to put forth our pointers and always being ready to listen what the other person has to say. We have to be diplomatic. Diplomatic, again, here doesn't have a negative connotation to it. Being diplomatic means that we have to understand, let's say a person is in anger, then there is really no point to have that conversation. So you can calmly and confidently say that let's have this conversation at some other time. And then, of course, the last and very important point, and that is being respectful. So being respectful and having a conversation with meaning, with assertiveness, and with the idea to actually just not listen to the words which the person is saying, but to look into the heart and understand what the person actually wants to say. words somehow I feel are not enough. There are much more other telltale signs by which we can understand what the person is trying to say. So coming to the next slide, we have heard it many times, but do we really know that why is that communication is important? What are the three major ingredients in a healthy relationship? Communication, respect, and trust. Without this, the relationship is for sure due for a failure. So, why is communication important in the relationship? I think this is a question we can take up in the discussion later. So, what happens to people who don't communicate? Why don't they communicate? What is going on inside them that they don't want to communicate? The first and foremost reason could be fear, I feel, because they are not able to process their feelings and their thoughts in, with the others for various reasons. Fear, rejection, and that fear of rejection, concern that they will do or say something to upset the other person, or just a lack of the skill set to put their feelings into the right words. There is also a very big fear of judgment in this. Sometimes people don't want to talk because maybe they don't know the language well. As an example, if one wants to communicate in English but doesn't have the right words for it, so they fail to communicate. They will just keep smiling, but they will not communicate rather than being comfortable in the language that they want to communicate. Avoiding misunderstandings. Communication helps us to avoid misunderstandings. Each person perceives the situations differently, and which can create resentment and hurt. And this was what I started the conversation with. What is the perception? We don't know. How we can understand that what the person is saying is causing us hurt, or what we are saying is causing the other person hurt. So if we are able to have a good communication channel, then we can avoid misunderstandings. Second point is setting expectations. So when we set our expectations for the others, then it becomes difficult to disregard these expectations. So what we mean here is that, let's say I have set up an expectation that something wants to be done, that this is the way, particular way in which I want things. So it once I've put that forth on the table, then it is difficult to disregard that. And the problem which will be solved through this is that there will be certain set boundaries. Then nobody can come and say that how was I supposed to know that what you like or you don't like. And then there is also no question of what is acceptable or not. So the demarcations have been made. So I personally feel that setting your boundaries and your expectations and communicating well will lead to a happy relationship. Knowing each other. How do we know each other? Only through words, only through communication. But if there is no communication, then the relationship is definitely liable for failure, because we are just existing in that situation. We are not communicating, so we really don't know what is going on in the other's mind. A relationship cannot get profoundly deep without the communication. The communication has to be open and consistent. Taking the guesswork out. Very, very important point. Mark Twain said, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. This is one of the biggest bets on honest communication within a relationship. So always tell the truth. Own up your mistakes. Don't keep that under the carpet. Always and always and always speak the truth. A healthy connection with someone doesn't come from withholding and remembering a string of little lies. Rather, it comes from being transparent. Over to you, Archana. I think we can take
Sure.
these
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I think at this point, I would like others to contribute or say something. Or Jayashree, do you want to keep it at the end of it? Because, it's a very generic topic about importance of communication, and all of us being, individuals who understand this concept. Maybe, I would like to hear views from all learned ladies here, that is there something that should be added to this list? That why is communication important and how can it help relationships?
Well, if you want a discussion, I think we could have something quickly, and then we can
Sure.
continue with your slides.
Yeah. Some examples where you think that things could have been done better had the communication was, maybe real life examples we can take, and you can share views.
Okay, I'll start by saying that
Yeah.
it's not as simple as it's been portrayed to be. There are a lot of underlying, situations and emotions which go through each level on a day-to-day basis also.
Right.
For example, I'll say that, I'll give you an example from my own personal life. Quite a few years back, I met up with a school friend of mine after almost 30 plus years. And my husband happened to be with me, but I thought perhaps he would not be so interested. So I said, would you like to come? And the way he looked at me, and I said, chalo, then you be in the market and I'll spend some time with her and come back. Years later, at some point in time, he commented, he says, I won't forget the time you made me walk around the market and you just chatted with your friend. So what I thought at that point in time is I had said that it was a preconceived notion that he wouldn't enjoy being, for two girls to be chatting up over 30 years of being back. And where I totally misread his emotions, which was not communicated to me also at that point in time. It was communicated to me at some recent other intervention when he said, acha, mere ko bhi pata hai ki tum aise kar sakte.
So this means you are saying that he was carrying the hurt in his mind for that long.
He was somewhere along the line. It was maybe not carrying it personally that way, but it was there somewhere which triggered off another situation, and that came out. So
right.
So it is so difficult actually relationship itself is a very difficult.
It's a complex subject.
Very, very complex situation to be in on a day-to-day basis. So there are times when I wonder for myself am I saying something which is either not being understood, or am I presuming that it is understood, which is what happens most of the times.
Yeah.
And that is where miscommunication or misunderstandings crop up.
हाँ, जिसमें जो इस slide में first point है, avoiding misunderstanding. Now the example you gave is actually it created a misunderstanding.
Yes. Which I didn't, which didn't come to my mind at all. For me,
correct,
it was
clear. Yeah. You didn't do it intentionally, but it created a misunderstanding.
Absolutely.
Right. So now if we look back, now this situation is behind us. Now, if you look back, what do you think could have been done, for the benefit of the group, that we can now, between you and your husband, I'm, setting expectations or no?
I will be more careful for the future.
But
I wish he had told me this at that point in time. I could have rectified the situation then.
Yeah, that's the point I'm coming to. That probably he also needed to communicate and shared his feelings with you to avoid this misunderstanding. Yeah.
It was a two-way process.
It was a two-way thing. Yeah, two-way process. Absolutely.
I mean, I wished he had done that, and he says कि अच्छा, but you could have been more sensitive to the situation. So.
और कई बार यही होता है जयश्री. Most of the times in relationships, we are well-meaning people in a particular relationship. We don't want to hurt anyone, but such kind of, when you don't communicate कि हमारे अंदर क्या चल रहा है, and we expect that the other person will understand on his or her own, that's where the misunderstandings happen. अब जैसे मेरा एक बड़ा favorite example है that, generally a woman of the house will cook the food, will lay the table, and after the family has eaten and moved away from the table, have gone into their cell phones, checking Instagram and Facebook, that lady is also clearing the table. Now, she has in her mind कि why is not anyone helping me? मतलब क्या ये plates उठा भी नहीं सकते हैं? Can't they help me? But if she is not communicating that to her family, they will feel, अरे यार, she is doing it. She loves doing it. She wants to do it and she loves doing it.
I think you gave this example even where respect was concerned.
Yes. So मुझे ये लगता है कि communication actually is the base of even respect.
बताना
and
चाहिए
trust.
था.
बताना बहुत जरूरी है.
Yeah, that's true.
So
No, I'll just
actually
say
my
over
fir-
here that sometimes, sorry, I'm talking in between. Sometimes it's maybe the example which you are giving of the dining table. Is maybe
Mhm.
the lady feels that if I do say it out and nobody comes to my rescue, nobody picks up the plates, so it's better to
Hmm.
keep quiet and do it myself. It's faster
Hmm.
done, rather than I'm just talking about myself. I consider it better to do my housework, what is my work myself, rather than explaining to the other person and then not
Mhm.
getting done and then getting delayed and then I don't like it getting delayed. We also in the house are little, the way we are. So
Hmm.
we also
Hmm.
need to change and give time to the others who are there to help us out.
Hmm.
And
So
if you are
so
going to
what do
give
you
your
think?
point of view, yeah, no,
So what do you
you
think
have to.
could be
You
this?
don't have
Hmm.
to. You don't have to be too fastidious in your thoughts and give time to other people or
Mhm.
communicate to them at a better time that it would be better if you can help in rather than
Yes.
sitting into your own mobiles.
Yeah.
And but
You
it
can
many
choose your
times
time. Yeah.
happens, yes, many times it happens that you have finished your work in the house and you are sitting with the family and for 2 minutes you've looked into your phone, and that is the time people will say, oh, you're all the time into your phone. It happens, no? That happens.
Yes. It
So what do
happens.
you
It
say?
happens.
The rest of you are allowed to look into your phone because you could tell them, oh, I'm busy with some client or some maybe my work. It's maybe the lady of the house who doesn't have any work. I mean, is
Mhm.
that what is it? This is
So
also her time, and I mean, that becomes a little difficult then.
yeah, is that Renuka who's speaking?
Yes, I'm Renuka. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah. So Renuka, then what is the solution? The situation you have painted. Now, are you saying that that lady is okay in her heart and mind doing what she's doing, or is she not okay? Is she
no.
feeling
If
bad
she
about it, or is
no,
she
if
okay?
she's fine with it, but who doesn't mind a helping hand?
Exactly. Then how do you let the other person know or the family member know
That's
that
what
you
I'm
need a
saying. At
helping?
other times,
Yeah.
sit down with the family at other times and tell them, okay, your phones are not so important. Keep your phones away, and the least you can do is to be helpful. You have to communicate.
Yes.
Yes, you have to.
Absolutely.
You have
And
to.
Renuka,
Just
I
you are
can't
think,
keep it to
absolutely right. You
yourself.
can choose your time.
yeah,
You can choose your time
Yeah.
that when do you want to say it. It is not that right now when you were doing it, you want to
Yes.
communicate at that point of time.
Yes.
You can do it at a later point of time. Important is to say it out. So that
Yes.
depends upon situation to situation. That when do you want to say that? Yeah, Jayashri, you were saying something.
I was saying that we always want it, It's not that we don't want it. We always are looking forward to it. There's an expectation that there should be that kind of an understanding that I'm not there to do the work all the time. And as far as say
Yeah.
I'm concerned, I'm a working person also. So there are times when I say, look, guys, just take care. I'm going, my phone is ringing and I'm off. So I come back after half an hour. Sometimes it's not done. Then I tell them what happened. So they say, we are, then they do it. But I think sometimes what we have to do is to communicate. Ek baar nahi to do baar, okay? But I think message will take a little while to reach them, but it will reach.
Yeah.
So that
And the same
patience
thing
we
can
should have.
happen
That
even in
patience we should have.
profession. Yeah, somebody can also give a professional situation example. What happens when bosses or with your subordinates or team members, when the communication is not clear. So, anybody would like to give an example on that? So, Sudha ma'am is saying our ego does not sometimes permit us to say it out. We think that they should surely well know this. Yeah. But it doesn't.
Nothing is understood in this world.
Yes.
No, I guess
So,
we need to be clear about what we want also. As women, it's not that it's just the men who can do the talking at times. I mean, even the women can put for their point of view, but at a better time.
Okay, so
I
moving
just
on.
want to say something on communication. Sorry, I'm coming in at the end.
No problem.
Communication, not only in the home, is so important, but I'm talking about a professional life. For us,
Yeah.
like my company is going through crisis. So it's very fragile at this stage. What is most important? Because everybody wants to know what is there tomorrow, right? For them, in any kind of professional life or what is happening with the company. So communication is what is important.
We have been
Absolutely.
trying to communicate written, but then that is also not very effective. And actually,
Hmm.
while y'all were talking, I was sending out meeting invites to have them all come together to office or on a
Yeah.
hybrid format. We need to communicate. They need to
Yeah.
know what is happening with the company, and after that, what is happening to themselves.
So much I can relate to that. Yeah.
Yes, it is so crucial.
Yeah.
Communication is something that has to be, you know,
Yeah.
most of the time it comes from top down, but today we also want to hear what the
Yeah.
juniors are saying. Yeah.
Saying absolutely yes, and a transparent leader is the best leader, and teams will trust in a leader who is transparent and who comes across and communicates. In the beginning of my career as an HR person, so one thing I have learned from my first boss was communicate, communicate, communicate. He used to put that in our agenda. He used to say that if as an HR people, if you do not canvas this thought of communication among other business leaders also, because business leaders ke paas, they are with so much of work and their targets and revenue and profit, they forget to communicate with their own team members. So
Exactly.
yeah, so communication for a healthy relationship, whether it is professional, personal, or whatever, or friendships, it doesn't work. वो सांस ही नहीं आती है relationship ko if there is no communication happening, and people then start presuming and creating their own mindsets and get into that toxicity and negativity, which can easily be absolutely usko wo kiya ja sakta hai if the right kind of communication happens.
Absolutely.
And Jayashri, the example you have given, if the best thing a company can do when it is going through tough times is to communicate and tell the team no, okay, this is what we are going through, or maybe this year increments can be lower, or this year there can be a salary cut, or this year,
They
as
will
and when the
partner
situation
with
better,
you. That's the
they
whole
will
thing.
partner with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
that's the
will
whole
partner
thing.
with you.
And
Absolutely.
on the other side, another communication that's important is, I've been coming home. It's been stressful. I'm not talking to anybody. When my husband said, "Can you sit? Can we talk? Can you just let me know what's happening?" I haven't been sleeping nights, but that day when I sat and spoke to him and shared with him
Yeah.
as to what is happening, he gave me perspectives of what could be done. You won't
Yeah.
believe how it
Yeah.
relaxes the mind because
Yes.
you have another partner even in your home. It's like that,
Yes.
you know. Makes a big
Absolutely.
difference. Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to continue where Jayashree Chaudhary left off, said, very often if that is communication is not carried out, the confusion actually can create havoc, because then there are a lot of
Yeah.
rumors that will float around, which will be contradictory to what might be the situation and counterproductive.
Yeah.
I think Brinda would like to, she's raised her hand. Brinda?
Okay. Yes, Brenda.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Can you all hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, Brinda,
Yes.
carry on.
Am I audible? Yeah. I would like to pitch in some points here. In communication, I would feel that, first we have to respect the person and develop the trust on the person, whether they are on a hierarchy, higher level or lower level. Once we know that we have built the trust, then, we will know what to share, how much to share. And then it goes on in circle, even they start to believe in us. And the communication also, what they said, it goes on first with the body language. And the body language starts with the face.
Yeah.
So especially in the board meeting, if someone is sitting, if their face is relaxed and connected to everybody, it starts from there. And even at home, if a woman of the house brings the food outside from the kitchen with a smiling face, it says that, everything can be solved here.
Yes.
So that is what I want to pitch in.
Absolutely. Facial expressions are the most important. You can say even the bad of things, worst of things with the right expression, it can be probably taken in the right spirit. or vice versa. Or you can do the best of something, but your expression is not good on the face. It will not go down well with anyone. So actually, my next slide is about a situation.
Jyoti raised her
Archana,
hand.
I would like to ask you, Archana.
Yeah, Jyoti.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
this is Jyoti here. Yeah, like we said, if we don't communicate, okay, then your tension builds up. And this tension can also affect one's health,
Right.
right?
Right. So you want to add that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Okay. So the next situation, this is just a situation which we have put down here, that let's say your partner calls and tells you that he's going to be home late from work. You already have dinner set on the table, but you tell him that you will put a plate in the oven for him. You let it go without telling him how disappointed you are. Unfortunately, he does it again a couple of days later, and then again in a few more days. You choose not to tell him that you would appreciate a call earlier in the day so that you don't plan to cook dinner in that case if he's not going to eat at home. Instead, you grow even more upset and stop talking to him. He has no idea what your problem is and gets angry because you aren't telling him why you are upset. Soon, the two of you are bickering over every little thing and forgetting the root of your frustrations. It's something what actually, well, no, not that Jayashree said that they started bickering over every little thing, but what I'm just saying that the situation can lead, if the couple is not mature enough, if the couple is into a relationship, let's say just 2 or 3 or 4 years into the relationship, they are not mature, they don't know each other that well. So these things can actually, and फिर आप भूल भी जाओगे कि ये फिर आपको लगता है he is not understanding, he doesn't care for me, she doesn't listen to me, she doesn't understand my situation. That entire thing becomes such a big thing because we haven't addressed it at the right time. And we haven't, talked about talking, communication. मुझे लगता है कि in families, मतलब अभी मैं corporate situation को बाहर रख रही हूँ, there is nothing as over communication. Within families, within couples, or within parents, children, siblings, there is nothing as over communication. Communication always helps to get perspectives, to understand people, to understand opinions, how even as siblings, when we grow, from 20 years to when we become 60 years, and, as siblings also, we grow as different individuals. So it is so important to keep communicating, giving perspectives, opinions, so that we know who we are. So this is just a sample situation 1. There is a sample situation 2. You know that your partner is busy, but you ask if she can do you a favor. She says that she will do it, and you give her instructions. A few days later, you discover that she didn't do what she promised or what you have told her to do it. You get upset because you thought that you could count on her. You hate to bring it up because you know she is busy and probably just forgot. Instead, what you're doing is you keep your anger inside and get snappy with her or refuse to do anything for her when she needs you because aapko lagta hai, she didn't do it for me, even I won't do it. So you refuse it. She doesn't understand why are you upset, and she begins to react in the way you are behaving, and the tension builds up. And that's when that spiral starts going down. So we thought that we'll just put these, there could be numerous such situations. So we have just put
Two
these
very,
two.
very beautiful scenarios.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Just
so everyday kind of stuff.
Yeah, so everyday kind of stuff. Absolutely. So now what can we do about it? Not that, I say it in each of our talks that we all know what we need to do because we all are mature individuals here. But for the sake of, we presenting this, so how to improve communication? I think मुझे ये लगता है, ये मेरा personal opinion है, that as individuals or as partners or as even parents or even as children, we somewhere we stop appreciating each other. हम compliments बहुत कम देते हैं. Compliment सिर्फ ये नहीं होता that okay, you have worn a new dress, you are looking nice. वो शायद हम दे देते हैं, wow, nice dress, or you're looking beautiful, or you're looking nice. No, appreciating someone's small little efforts. किसी ने आपको अगर कुछ करा है आपके लिए, चाहे वो आपका husband है, wife है, brother है, बच्चा है, appreciating that effort, saying thank you. So if appreciation is there, I think वो भी कम्युनिकेशन का एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट है. Appreciating each other will bring the negativity down so much, will bring that that thing of जो आपको दूसरे के बारे में कोई चीज अखर सकती है, it is irking you. I think appreciation will bring that down. So appreciating each other improves communication a lot. It starts off at a very good note when you appreciate the other person. When you talk about, if someone has said something that, if someone is being kind, we need to acknowledge that someone is being kind, someone is being supportive. So it just builds the bond together. For example, Jayashri, the group doesn't know, the day you sent me that message, when your niece came and met me, now, you appreciated that little small effort of mine. From your side, it was nothing much. From my side, reading it was nothing much, but it just brings the bond together. You feel that the other person is sensitive enough to say that to you, that understands your perspective. So, these small acts of appreciating each other, either by sending a text or saying it or whatever you are doing. Sometimes we do it more with strangers or friends and less with our family members because we take them for granted. So appreciating each other, in my opinion, improves that communication का वो जो beginning है वो बहुत अच्छा होता है. Commit to a true connection. That sham and that fake and that, जो हम थोड़ा सा public के लिए या कभी we put that up on our faces when we go out or when we are meeting people in a social circle. उनको छोड़ के when we commit to somebody for a true connection, heart to heart कहना और heart to heart feel करना are two different things. When you connect to somebody at a heart level, when you truly put yourself in that person's shoes and understand, I think that is also a beginning of a improved communication setup. Identify your communication style, and yes, self-awareness ka ek part hai. Actually, whatever I'm talking right now is a part of our coaching, because that's what we tell people and that's what we do in coaching. Appreciating, committing to a true connection, and self-awareness. Are you a passive communicator, aggressive, passive-aggressive, or assertive? What is your style? So that one needs to really figure out. For example, I know that my style is not passive. It is not even aggressive, but it is somewhere passive-aggressive and assertive. I fall into that category. So I need to know my own style, that how do I communicate? And there are so many people who would probably, if they think about it, and there are so many, what do you call those psychological tests which are available on the internet, which one can go through and do this self-awareness, that what kind of personality do you have? And you can just answer those 40-50 questions and there will be a small report which will be generated for you, that what kind of a communication style do you have? Then accordingly, you can work on it and you can start communicating with people in that way. Build a strong friendship. So because our topic is alchemy of relationships, I feel each relationship prospers or blooms if it is built on a strong friendship, even it is husband-wife or your own, even parent-child, I will say. If there is no friendship in a relationship, it's difficult for that relationship to bloom as a healthy relationship. Talk about talking, as Jayashri, the other Jayashri, when she gave an example that she came home and she talked to her husband about the tension at workplace. Talk about talking, that how maybe she appreciated him in that conversation, that I loved talking with you. It gave me a new perspective. It has relaxed my mind. So talk about talking with your partner, that talking is very important. If both of you know this and you talk about it, automatically the communication styles get better. And if nothing else works, then definitely seek some professional advice. I have chosen to write the word advice and not help, because help is under connotation of negative connotation. Seek professional advice. You can go to some mentor, somebody who's senior to you. If you're in a kind of stuck in a professional situation, you can go to a mentor, or in a personal life situation, you can go and seek advice from coaches, life coaches, or or counselors who can tell you how to go about it, or there are various ways, scientific ways to address the situations if you are stuck somewhere. And I'm gonna end this presentation with this: that communication to a relationship is like oxygen to life. So without it, it dies. So communication is just like oxygen. So
Can
question
I
and
ask?
answer. Yes, please.
Yeah. So I think what Jayashree you mentioned and both the mentioned, what I have found in my own relationships is that uh, even when we are thinking that this should be done and we don't communicate, we are not silent. You know, we say that we are silent on the outside, we are not communicating, but we are not silent inside. So I think a very important facet of communication is to achieve that silence. As an example, if I'm expecting something, so I'm expecting something but I'm not saying it for xyz reasons, but am I silent inside? No, I'm not. And it is that which actually becomes a volcano sometime or the other, and that erodes the relationship, because every moment that silence is not there, every moment you feel unloved, that I am not getting the right due in this relationship, I'm not being heard. So one thing I think which I have worked upon myself is to understand that am I really silent in the relationship? So I feel I am not silent in the relationship. I am conversing in the relationship, albeit it is only with me. So that's, I feel, is a very, very important facet which we should take into consideration. And with the beautiful quote which Archana ended, I would like to now end with something: communicate even when it is comfortable, uneasy. One of the best ways to heal is simply getting everything out. But
Manisha,
we
we
do not.
couldn't hear the quote. We couldn't
Yeah,
hear the quote.
we lost you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying communicate even when it is uncomfortable or uneasy. One of the best ways to heal is simply getting everything out. But we do not communicate. We think it will be uncomfortable. We think we will lose out on the relationship. We will think of hundreds of reasons that why we should not communicate. But actually, if we do, we will make the other person understand. And personally, I feel that if it leads to a loss of that relationship, then so be it. Then that means that relationship was anyways not, ready to hold all that which I was putting into it. So don't ever think that you'll be uncomfortable for the sake of something. Like, we say that stay in a marriage for the sake of the children, for the sake of this thing, for the sake of whatever. Don't do that. Make your conversations, communicate, and whatever the outcome, be ready to face it confidently. Thank you.
I think you just hit the nail on the head that yes, you need to communicate. And very often when you are saying something which you feel is for that particular scenario or situation is the way or the right way of maybe reacting, but it boomerangs. And then you don't know why it boomeranged. But yes, what you rightly said was, if that creates a rift or it creates a schism itself, then so be it, because then either that misunderstanding is going to happen on several different things.
But another aspect of communication is, I mean, however good I may be in delivering that, is it being received? Listening is so important. Is it being received? And that is what completes it. How am I going to be able to judge or be able to understand that are they receiving it? Is my daughter hearing what I'm saying? Sometimes we give a lot of advice, but is she listening to it? It's like that. Or is he listening to it?
I think that's something. I think that's something we don't need to bother about. If we are talking from our heart and we are open within ourselves and we know what we are doing, we should not be, thinking about what the outcome will be. I just said that if the other person is uneasy with our relation, then that relationship is anyways not worth it. So there's no need to, I think that is the person receptive? Why? I mean, if you are talking what you have to say, you are clear in your own head. We cannot judge what the other person is going to do with your information. We can't do that. That's the other person's decision whether to receive it or to trash it. That is why our relationships are mess up, because we give too much of thought. We keep on thinking, should I say it? Should I not say it? What will the other person think? What will happen? What will be the outcome? Rather than that, we should probably, in fact, one or two of my learnings over the years have been that I have now started to write down. Even simple communications within the family, I write down if there is something I need to discuss. I'll give you an example on this. And one more thing which I have started to do is I have changed the wordings. I would start the sentence with, would it be possible for you to, kind of take out a minute to listen to me? Would it be possible for you to do this for me? Are you okay with this? So I think this phrasing of the sentence and the choice of the words has really changed. The example I want to give you here is, so recently, very personal example. So my mom used to stay separately and she fell ill, and a lot of drama happening, and we had to kind of convince her that she should move in with me. Now the house I was staying in was small, so we had to kind of take a decision to take up a bigger house and for her to move in. My daughter had other plans. She had somebody with her who had been her man Friday for 40 years. He had other plans. And honestly, what I did was I sat all of them together, even my homemakers. Everybody was sitting together, and I actually, believe me, don't laugh at it, but believe me, I took out a blackboard. Oh, sorry, it was a whiteboard. And I wrote down all the pros and cons, that should we take two houses? Should we move into a duplex? Should we move into a one house? Should we do this? Should we do that? And believe me, I asked each and everyone for their opinion, and within 10 minutes, the decision was made. So it was the right way because I had written it down in my head. I'd written it down on the paper. I had put that communication and given them that choice rather than giving my decision. So that also is very, very important in communication. If you let the other person feel that importance, that yes, it was their decision, they will be more okay to go ahead with it. Thank you.
I'd like to add to what Manisha, Archana, and Jayashree said. See, in my years of counseling, what I have learned is that if you want someone to hear hear a perspective, or like, as you say, sometimes you want our children to listen to another perspective, or I avoid using the word advice, then it is important that the communication channel to open, they have to feel understood. Because to feel understood is a lot more important and more powerful than feeling loved. Let me tell you how this works. Because when we have very strong emotions, the mind just closes down. But the moment an individual feels understood, there is that opening in the cloud. So the information can filter in. As long as a cloud is there, no matter what information you try to give, it is not going to enter. So let me give you an example. Okay, there was this client of mine who was a brilliant architect, and she was married into a very, very extremely educated family. But she could sense that her father-in-law was not mentally quite all there, and she felt he needed to see somebody beyond their family doctor. So she didn't know what to do. So she Googled, and then she chanced upon my name. And she came to see me with so much of fear and trepidation. But I think when she saw my face, at least that's what she told me, she somehow felt that stress on her shoulder just dissolved when she saw my neutral look and my neutral face. And then I just heard her out, and from all the symptoms and all what she said, it was very, very obvious and very clear this man needed a little more professional intervention. You won't believe, this is what she has sent me. She sent me a note, an email, which actually summed up my 35 years of work. Okay. I don't know from where she hunted out this quote. She says, every person in this universe has a deep desire to feel understood. Because that was what nobody in the family was understanding. And she says, once that is received, then he or she feels they have the strength and the ability to deal with any difficulty in life. So that she's quoted it from, she's picked up this quote, and now she said, I can handle the situation on my own. All she needed was somebody who understood what she was experiencing. And to answer to just to add to what Manisha said, sometimes we hesitate to tell people this is how we feel. So whether it is your misunderstanding situation number 1 or number 2 or anything, professional, personal, family, anything, my standard is my XYZ formula by David Goleman. I think I quote it everywhere, and all my clients tell me it's super brilliant. So when you want to say something which is a complaint, this works very well. You don't use the word you. You just say X happened. I felt Y. I wish you would do Z instead. Or I wish you had done Z instead. For example, the wife has cooked the food. Husband has not bothered to either come, see, eat, or appreciate. So she says, I have kept food for you. I felt very disappointed, or she can say, I felt not loved or not appreciated, not cherished, whatever feeling she has. I wish you would have at least told me you were going to be late. So she gets an opportunity to speak up. She gets an opportunity to express exactly how she feels without hurting the sentiments of the other individual, but she's not mincing words. The focus is on how she is feeling. So there is no blame apportioned. Oh, you always do this to me. You always ruin every time I do something special for you. You never appreciate. You're always ruining things for me. That's a standard pattern when one is upset, as you say, the simmering volcano inside. The XYZ formula works brilliantly. So in your work, please use it. You can get it from David Goleman's Emotional Intelligence. It's a very painful book to read, and it puts off people. But this one is a gem. And as you say, to tell support what Vrinda said, yes, 93% is non-verbal and 7% only is verbal. So no matter what you say, your body language is going to speak 93%. And yes, empathy, empathy, empathy. If you understanding, that's it. It's a primary thing. If you understand and the other person's perspective, he'll be very happy to receive what you have to say. So simple. You understand what, you don't have to validate, just validate their emotional. You don't have to be in agreement. Especially when it comes to parents and children or your boss, you cannot be always in agreement, but you can be in agreement with how they feel. So if you go via the emotional content, I can see that you are very upset. I can see that you are very disappointed at what happened. I can see that you are not in agreement with how I feel about the situation. So you can validate the emotional content. You don't have to be in agreement with that person, but that person gets an apparent feeling that you've understood him. So you're on the same wavelength immediately. And then there is scope for negotiation. Thank you.
And
Thank you, Sukanya.
As a tip, I would like to say that before you're going into any conversation, a very simple technique is to take a deep breath. Because you will align yourself and you will know what you have to say.
Take a what? Sorry, your voice broke. Sorry.
Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath.
Deep breath. Yes.
Take a deep breath. Take 2, take 3, however, because in that case, what will happen is you will know what you have to say. The problem is you yourself don't know what you have to say, and you keep thinking that what the other person is going to perceive, but you should know what you have to say. So I think that's where
that is why the XYZ formula works brilliantly, because their focus, as you correctly said, the focus is on you, not on the other individual. So there's never the other person, and it's assertive. So you other person can never say you hurt my feelings, can never say you said something I didn't like. So that there is no scope for that part at all. And which is why the communication channel will open up. So this is one very, very workable, doable, easy formula.
Yeah, that's why they say count up to 10 before you react.
Count up to 10, yeah. And also quoting something, not guilty until proven. So don't put the guilt tag on the other person, just like you did this, so you are like a murderer of the relationship. Anyways, I think we like to end. Thank you so much, everyone. And
Just want to give you a little, on a lighter note, this little boy was told by his mother that whenever you get angry with someone, count up to 10 and then, sum up your emotions. So the little boy is very angry with this one friend of his, and then he suddenly strikes him. His mother said, count up to 10. So he wants to give him a big, tight, hit. So he says, no, my mother told me count up to 10. So he says, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boom. So that was what happens sometimes. A bottled up emotion, it wants to come out. You're keeping it under wraps for a long time, and then it explodes.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Very good.
Thank you.
So Kanya,
all right.
Yes.
would you
Thank
like
you
to?
so much, Manisha and Archana. It is always such a pleasure for all of us just to sit around and, talk to you, have these conversations and dialogues. Thank you, Jyoti and Jayashree, and both the Jayashrees and Jyoti for providing this opportunity for all of us to, interact like this, share our thoughts. Thank you on behalf of Tangent India. Thank you so much.
I
Thanks.
wonder are we going to
All the
see them
time to
again?
come.
We'll have to talk about that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would love to have them.
Yeah, I know. We love having you for sure.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank
Means a
you.
lot.
So
Thank
Thanks a lot.
let's see if we can work out something so that,
Yeah.
And thank you to all
Yeah.
the people who took time to come during Navaratri, and happy Dasara to everyone.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Happy